Today, we embark upon a glorious journey. You and I embark through the very depth of the darkest trenches, the muddiest of battle holds. This very battlefield, it isn't safe, but we must fight to survive. For every civilian, man, woman, and child, we must save. For every weapon that we acquire, every bullet that flies past our skulls, every grenade that we toss beyond enemy lines, we are the ones who must be the victor in this battle. The greatest of battle weapons, artillery, and the most opposing of foes we will face. Today we talk about Metal Slug. I am Tiberius' co-host on this greatest of Friday afternoon specials, Mission Neo Geo. Today we will discuss Metal Slug X. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but X. Yes, we will probably embark upon glorious journeys once again across the other Metal Slugs, but today we will talk about Metal Slug X on Mission Neo Geo. Oh man, Tiberius, I swear. Appreciate it, Ty. What it is, it's your guy Retro Neo Nest back again with another Mission Neo Geo video. Today we are talking about Metal Slug X. So, time out. Let's talk about this real quick. Why are we starting in the middle here? Why didn't I not go with Metal Slug 1 or 2, 5, 4, or even 3? Well, for one, I don't have Metal Slug 1 or 2 on AES. Now I do have Metal Slug 2 on MVS. Of course, I have 3, 4, and X on AES. I don't have 5 yet for any of the consoles, but I decided to just change it up a little bit. It's going to be very similar to how I do King of Fighters. I'm not going to start from the beginning at 94, probably not going to start in the beginning from 2003. I'm just going to jump from whatever I feel the need to do during this series, and today we are talking about Metal Slug X. And for reference, Metal Slug 2 was released in 1996, and Metal Slug X was released in 1999. And this really is just an upgraded version of Metal Slug 2. The game used a modified version of the engine that was used in Metal Slug 3, and all of the laggy slowdown problems that we saw in Metal Slug 2 are completely gone and remedied in Metal Slug X. And I played 2 on MVS, and I will tell you, the frame drops when bullets and grenades and explosions and tons of enemies are on the screen. There is significant slowdown in gameplay. It is extremely noticeable to the point where you're like, I don't know if I want to play this game anymore. X fixes that. So in terms of what was changed in this game, the music was remixed, new announcer, many of the stages that we saw from Metal Slug 2 were changed either from a daytime sequence to a nighttime sequence and vice versa, and it's possible for the character that you're playing with to become a little obese after collecting food items in every stage after mission 2. All the levels have an increased enemy count, so I mean, if we had this same increase in enemy count in Metal Slug 2, the game would have probably just completely crashed. New enemy placements, different enemy characters, vehicle types and locations were different. There are more power-ups, more POWs, and items, particularly food in this mission. Environmental elements were different, reactions when shot, stronger versions of heavier machine guns, several new weapons, stones, enemy chasers, super grenades, etc. It added different death sounds, new enemies were added or replaced, like mummy dogs, and then the original art for Metal Slug is shown at the end of the game while the credits are rolling. The plot in this game: 2 years have passed since Metal Slug 1, and Captain Marco Rossi and Lieutenant Tarma Roving and their strike force have defeated an evil general. Now, I'm not going to go and spoil the entire story here. This entire series has a pretty decent backstory in terms of the enemies and then the story behind that, so I'm not going to spoil it for any of you that have not played this series. but best believe it's definitely one to play if you actually get into it. The Metal Slug series is definitely one of those games that you just have to play. It's one of the most sought after titles on the Neo Geo AES for sure, whether that's Japanese or English, because guess what? It's just expensive in general, all the way across. It's gonna break your pockets. Yes, I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. A Metal Slug 1 in Japanese ranges anywhere between $6,000 and $14,000 US. Yes, that's high. And then a Metal Slug 1 can range anywhere between 25 and 60 grand. Good Lord, that's a lot of money. So do with that as you will. Yes. Do I have it? No. Do I plan on getting it? Maybe one day. Can I afford it right now? Hell no. No, no, no. So Metal Slug in general, the series, is one of those games where it's been remastered, it's been re-released on numerous consoles, PC, systems, whatever. So you can virtually play Metal Slug anywhere that you want. There's PlayStation, there's PC, there's Neo Geo CD, there's Wii, there's PSP, there's Android. The list goes on. This game was just so well loved within the community, and then everyone else that got to play it in the arcades, they fell in love with this. This was a Neo Geo's really big banger, and this is what really knocked the dust off in terms of games to play on the Neo Geo. So where can you play this game? Well, just like I said, there's a version of Metal Slug on PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2. There was the Metal Slug Anthology on PlayStation 2. You could have a version to play this on Nintendo Wii, PSP. You could play this on Xbox, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's still there. You could play this on, of course, the arcade, the Neo Geo CD. There's numerous ways that you can play this game. So in retrospect, do you really need to buy the authentic AES version? No. Would it be nice to have one? Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it would be. It would really be good to play this game. So in terms of gameplay, I think that this game speaks for itself. This is where I don't go too deep into it. It's a side-scrolling shooter, and that's exactly what it is. You're going to try to save POWs as you can as you progress through the game. You're going to try to find different tanks and different weapons to really maximize your efforts in terms of beating tons of the enemies that are on the screen and then completing each mission. This game really does that. There's melee capabilities when you can use a knife or a gun, a shotgun, a flamethrower, a grenade launcher. It packs a punch. Now there is one little caveat here. If you're playing the English version of this game, generally you're going to see sweat fly from the enemy's bodies. So when you've defeated an enemy, you're just going to see sweat flying off. If you're playing the Japanese version, you're actually going to see blood, and it makes it a lot more violent when you see the blood, and I'm inclined to play it more on that side. Now, if you've got a Unibios, of course you can make some adjustments to the gameplay the way that you want it, or you're just going to play it in Japanese. Is this really required? Do you really need to play this game in English? Not so much. If you just want to play the game, I'd say no. While playing this game, and I've played Metal Slug for many years now, this game is fun. You want to complete the game. You want to go through the process of beating it. You want to do all those things. It has a very humorous side to it. It doesn't take itself too seriously, which I find cool. It's definitely a fun time, and it's well known. If we're thinking about mascots for Neo Geo, and I'm just talking about from a video game perspective, generally Nintendo has Mario, Sega has Sonic, PlayStation has, I don't know, Crash Bandicoot, whatever. And then from a Neo Geo standpoint, you could probably pick one of the fighting games, but generally a lot of consoles don't do that. They generally pick some kind of family-based character or storyline-based character. I would be inclined to think that Metal Slug would be on one of this list. If not, it'd be one of the fighting game characters that would be on there. Terry Bogard would probably be on the top of my list if we're talking about it from a fighting game perspective. Did see Terry on a crossover for Smash Bros. So there's that. But if we have to really talk about it, I would say one of the members from Metal Slug would be a pretty good mascot when it comes to the Neo Geo, just because we've seen so many different variations of this game hit numerous consoles over the years, and it's still going. There's mobile releases for this game, there's new versions of this game, there's a Metal Slug 6 that we really generally didn't see on the console itself, but there's some great ways. And from a scoring perspective, generally this game gets 7 to 8s out of 10s when we're talking about it from a critic standpoint. I'm going to give Metal Slug X a 4. That is my rating. Tiberius, what would you classify this rating for?
And in terms of a Tiberius rating today, I am going to give Metal Slug X a grading of 3.5. Now, while it is a very vast improvement of Metal Slug 2, I do feel that there is another Metal Slug that fits the bill just a little bit more than Metal Slug X. This is just my opinion.
Now, let's take a look at the insert here and the game itself. So taking a look at it, and as you can see in the top of this insert is damaged, and I knew that when I purchased it. This is not meant, yes, it's got a little damage on the insert, but other than that, this game plays perfectly. Now, as you can see, you're seeing a little white outline. I have a piece of printer paper behind the insert so it doesn't cause and create any imprints of the SNK logo from the snap case. Cartridge is in really good shape. It's gonna have that caution label sticker there, the glossy finish on the cart, of course, and this cart's in pretty good shape. And as for the manual's pretty good. The only thing that I found in this particular manual is it doesn't give a character description like some of the other Metal Slug games. Metal Slug 3 will give like a brief description over the characters. In Metal Slug X manual, it didn't do that. Kind of odd that they chose not to select that on this one, but that's neither here nor there. Now this game, in terms of pricing, it's high. It's not one of your inexpensive couple $100 games. From a US or from a English Metal Slug X perspective, you'll be lucky to find this game at 3,000, but you're probably going to see it somewhere in the more regularly priced around the 4,000 range and up. Now, I wouldn't say it's going to be some $6,000 or $5,000 game. I wouldn't pay $5,000 for this game. There's rare Neo Geo games out there that, if you want to classify it as rare, or if you want to classify it as worth 5,000, that's just what the market is. But I would not pay 5,000 for this game. I would definitely keep it around the 4,500 and below mark. Now, mind you, you can definitely find this game cheaper if you're lucky. You just have to hit the right time of year, and you have to make sure that you're double checking on condition. And also, there are conversions, there are bootlegs, repros of this game all over the internet. So make sure you're double checking the descriptions, NCI, convert, bootleg, all those things. Make sure you double check descriptions before you click the button to buy on anything that you're purchasing online. And as always, like I say, if you can buy from a reputable seller privately, that's probably the better way to go. Can't do that and no one else has it. Of course, eBay has tons of these online and you can get it that way. Metal Slug X. Have you played this game? Have you had a chance to play any Metal Slug game? Do you have a Metal Slug on MVS or AES or Neo Geo CD? Or would you rather just play it on PlayStation or one of the other consoles? Drop a comment down below, let me know. And as always, collect and play the way that you want to collect and play your games. Tiberius, take us out of here.
Dearest friends, we thank you today for joining us on another Mission Neo Geo video. We bid you good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night to you. On next week's episode, we have a special guest joining us. Not just myself and Ness, but we have another guest that will join us for a 2-game special on Mission Neo Geo next week. So stay tuned, for this one will be a very glorious episode indeed. And for next week's games, the 2 games that we are selecting, well, you're going to have to tune in till next week because it is to be continued. See you again.